Hello there, my friends. How are you doing today? Such a beautiful day here. If you've been journeying with me through the winter, you know that this is a long time coming. So I'm out here celebrating beautiful weather, having some blue sky and roses in bloom. And I brought one over. One wanted to come and join me. Wonder if I can get it in the picture here. Yep, not too thorny. Oh, I'm just gonna do something here for a second. I find that when I leave my Wi-Fi on, it's trying to search for the Wi-Fi and kind of messes up a little bit. So try to keep it on my data and see if it works better when I'm outside. So hello. Here it is Monday morning. I hope you guys all had a really nice weekend. So I'll tell you a little story, a couple stories about my weekend. And we'll do a little meditation today, attuning to nature. So, on the last couple days, my daughter was going out on a teens camping trip, and she's been in an outdoor education program all year where they go camping for 1 weekend per month. And this past weekend, they were going out on a remote trip, like 2.5, 3 hours out into the wilderness here on Vancouver Island. And they needed some parent drivers. And so I saw the opportunity, and my intuition was saying, oh, I should go. And it was to a place that I hadn't been before. It's called the Carmanah Walbran, and I've always wanted to go there. I've heard amazing things about the ancient trees there. So we took the opportunity and we escorted some teenagers out there, and their mentors were with them, and they got to just sort of hang out and do their own thing. And my husband and I got to camp on our own and just have a relaxing weekend. We weren't taking care of the teens, so that was pretty nice too. And we found ourselves in a place with ancient trees. And if you have ever had the good fortune to be around really old trees, you'll know a little bit about what I'm going to talk about. So it's a real gift to be in the presence of elders, like beings who have been on the planet for hundreds of years. And in my journeys in life, I have met some really nice trees. I've planted a lot of trees. I feel very allied. I feel a kinship with the tree nation, the tall standing ones as they're called. And there was a time many years ago when I used to go out to walk my dog really early in the morning. It was when my daughter was very little. I would get up before she was awake, and I'd go walk to this park at the end of my block and just take my dog out. And there was a beautiful cedar tree in that park. And it would be early, 6 o'clock in the morning. There'd be nobody around. And I would go and I would place my third eye against the tree and listen. I would talk to the elementals. I would talk to the tree's spirit. And I would ask for whatever message the tree had for me that day. And there was one unforgettable morning where I had so many things to do. There was no way I could get everything done in time. And I was a real multitasker back then. And I went and I had to go walk my dog. And so I went and I just took a minute and I pressed my head into the bark of this beautiful tree that I felt was like a grandmother. And I was like, oh, grandmother, I'm so busy. I don't know how I'm going to get everything done. And the message that came through, because I'm always listening for messages, was, you have all the time in the world. No one has any more or any less than you. And I took that message into my heart. I always think that's moving energy. Maybe this one's a little close to my nose. I took that message into my heart. There, she can hang out here. And I went home, and instead of multitasking, I slowed down and I did things one at a time. And I took that tree's message to heart and said, okay, I have all the time in the world. And miraculously, I got everything done with time to spare, and I ended up being early. So imagine that. So I found that over the years that when I listen to trees, I'm always better off for having slowed down and listened. And so in the last couple of days, I had the gift to be around ancient trees. They estimate that they're 800 to 1,000 years old. Well, think about how many generations that is. 1,000 years ago, by our calendar, it would have been 1,025. And so I spent some time with this beautiful, beautiful old cedar tree. And when I'm done, I'll post a picture of it in the comments. And I pressed my forehead against the bark, and it was so sweet because there was a little hole in the bark that looked like the shape of a keyhole. And that's where I pressed my third eye. And I said, oh, grandmother, what wisdom do you have for me today? And we had a conversation. And sometimes it's really fun too to listen to the heartbeat. Listen for the heartbeat of an ancient tree and a very old tree, because their heart, if you listen for that steady beat, it's a lot slower than ours. And I like to believe that these old trees, they're the wisdom keepers of this realm. They hold the codes, and they know what it is to be still, to stand in one place, rooted, and see storms come and go, and seasons, and changes in the land, and they just stay in one place, witnessing and observing it all. So when I pressed my forehead against this tree, I asked her how old she is. And she's told me 1,264 cycles of the sun. And I don't know if that's scientifically measurable, but you know what? These days, learning to listen to my intuition means that I listen and I take what I hear at face value. So I don't need to question that, elder. I believe that the tree I was talking to was 1,264 years old. And I felt held and loved and cherished. And it felt so good to lean into this being who's been here so long before I arrived and will be here so much longer. There's a sense of reassurance in that. I also had the experience in my life where I spent a lot of my years renting different houses and not planting a garden because I thought, well, I'm not going to be here to really see it grow. There was this one place I thought I was only going to be there for a couple years, and it turned out I was there for 6 years, and I realized that I could have planted a fruit tree and watched it grow and see it there for future generations to enjoy. So these concepts of time being greater than the time we're there to enjoy it, it really taps into a teaching that I've heard about in First Nations lineages in different places about 7 generations. And I heard a story that someone said that when we have to make a decision, we think about what our great grandchildren 7 generations in the future will think about our decision. So that person 7 generations down the line, when they look back at the choices that we're making, what will they think of us? It's just like when we plant a tree that we're not going to be around to enjoy. What is it to expand our sense of time, to include the time when we're not here anymore? And to me, that's generosity.